check your mics real quick?
Hello.
Make sure they're working.
Hello.
We got Andrew over here taking very awkward pictures. So get right up on the mic when you're talking.
We are just taking photos of each other.
Will it hear my beard?
Quarter of an inch away.
Will it hear my beard?
Will it hear your beard? It might fear your beard.
I wish we all had headphones, but I guess
feel
that's
like
not
we
gonna
are,
happen.
like, you know the.
I am gonna have to pay very close attention because I'm super hard of hearing.
We'll talk loud.
Well, we could talk a little further away, just louder. Yell
Actually,
into the mic.
we got room.
I'd like to read your lips, please.
Look at each other when you're talking to each other. Right?
I feel like if you lined us all up, we'd be like the perfect evolution of a beard.
Oh my gosh, it's.
I mean, we're not in the right order.
Does it start here or does it start here?
Well, no, it's like me, you, Andrew.
Okay.
It's like the perfect.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yep, exactly.
I just shaved my neck. Does that count?
Mm-hmm.
I do wish we could like make an announcement that there. I guess people are getting into.
I think I like that it's off to the
I
side.
mean the El Carnitas. I'm more concerned about the Carnitas than I am about the podcast.
Yeah. Unless you want to. Go for it.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Well, before we really
I'm
get
having
started,
a hard enough time with my back facing the door, so everything else is
I can even move over a little bit too.
Secondary.
Okay, well, we have a guest coming up, but before we do that, I wanted to have Andrew here to just help us intro episode number 1 of the Curious Hunter podcast, because we've done 0, which didn't count.
I disagree.
It counts?
I feel like it counts.
Okay, should that
if
have
the
been
feedback
episode
was
number 1?
miserable, then it's like a mulligan. You can throw it away.
Okay.
But we got good
We
feedback.
got feedback,
People
okay.
were like, people were kind.
Well, we didn't have a guest, so it didn't count.
But that's even worse because the guests are way cooler
That's
than
true.
us.
That's true. Yeah. Well, Andrew.
Well, let me intro.
So step up, Andrew.
Let me intro by saying I know nothing about what's happening right now,
Yeah.
and I'm just stepping into this.
Hey, look at who's here. We're doing a podcast right now, man. So, no, this is the point. The point is to do a podcast while Jeremy Wells,
Wait. Do we have a full
really amazing guy,
beard evolution now?
Now we do. If you're watching this on YouTube, we have the full beard evolution.
We have a mustache.
John is 1. I'm pointing at John. I am 2. Andrew's 3, and Jeremy.
And I have a decent sized beard, but this is a whole nother situation.
Check 1, 2.
That was Jeremy Wells, everybody. The coolest
it's
man
the full
alive.
beard evolution now.
He just
there we
added
go.
another level.
Yep.
1, 2.
I wonder
3.
I wonder what the experience is going to be like for people just listening to us ramble
You
as
smell
a
like
long
motor oil.
intro.
I love it. Yeah. No, I love
A
it.
6-hour podcast.
Fist bump that guy.
Sorry.
Andrew.
I'm
This is Andrew.
Beards
There's
unite.
drinks in the coolers. If you
Beers
want
in the
some.
coolers.
Yeah. Some food
Carnitas
over there.
tacos on the.
Yep. Dig in.
Sofritas?
Go on. Yes, please. There you go. Yeah.
I just had cauliflower pizza for the first time. It's new to me. I'm experiencing new things in life, and it feels really good.
Wow.
The cauliflower pizza.
So-
Cauliflower pizza's good.
I got into hunting, and Jeremy got into cauliflower pizza.
It had vegan cheese on it. I call it
Vegan cheese. Vegan.
Wait. You're
Interesting.
going backwards, bro. Where did you eat tonight? At home?
It also had vegan sausage. But the pepperoni on it was real as shit.
You know what we need to add to that is a little meat. The cauliflower is great, but the meat needed to be added to that.
Did she feed you the pizza? She fed him the pizza.
I love it.
Wait till football season. During a Browns game, that might be your only request. This just became sports talk.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and intro.
Yeah.
The longest
Jeremy Wells,
pre-intro ever.
The longest pre-intro. We're going for the longest
I think it
pre-intro
could be a second episode.
in the history of podcasts. Well,
That's its own episode.
We got some feedback last time, and everyone was like, "Whose podcast is this?"
Yeah.
And
So it's ours.
It's
So
the
we should-
Curious
should we
Hunters.
start it?
The
Yeah.
Curious Hunter is quite a few of us.
Yep.
It's the 3 of us. So it's
It's a
me, John,
conglomerate.
Andrew, Tim over here. Tim runs Sheep's Head, and I kind of started Curious Hunter. Andrew has been there with me pretty much since the beginning, filming all these awesome films.
The coolest part of I think this group of people is that like we all have strengths that complement each other's weaknesses.
Yep.
Like we jokingly started the episode 0 with like me being more and more removed from technology.
Nice.
And I was having a conversation with a friend today. I was like, it's so nice to have partners in this that are proficient, because I don't have to worry about it. I can I can sit down and I can do the things that I'm good at, and you guys can be doing the things you're good at, and it all equals 100%.
Totally.
And that's hard to find.
Yep.
I mean that goes through with everything that you, John, and I have done, right? Like, there's someone there always that knows what they're doing from a hunting or fishing or catching perspective, and then there's us.
Totally.
From a storytelling
Andrew's
perspective. So.
Quite the chef too, and I'm not good in the kitchen, so it's fun to do this stuff with someone who's like really comfortable with getting in there, figuring things out, how to cook it. So I'm learning a lot about that element of it too. So that's really cool.
You've been really good about bringing people together. What you just said, you bring all of the pieces.
You're not good at that, Andrew.
I'm good about bringing people together too, I guess. Because I
would argue food brings people
together.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually talked to a few potential guests, and like one of the things that I've said is like food is like a big way to build community, and Curious Hunter is all about building community. So I would argue that like he might have a bigger Rolodex, you might have the magic sauce.
Ooh, the sauce coming together. Special sauce.
Some kitchen metaphors.
All you are is numbers.
I'm a numbers man.
Yeah. All you are is numbers.
You know what John is? He is persistently positive.
It is, and it hasn't gotten annoying yet.
Just wait.
It's annoying
Just
the
wait.
first 5 minutes, and then you're like, oh, this is just John.
See, no, I haven't had the annoying yet. Like, maybe like if we're on a 5-day, 6-day, 7-day hunt, and like on day 5, and we haven't even seen it. We haven't seen an animal. But you know what though? You need those people too, because that's what makes it makes good partners in the outdoors. Is like the ability to be like, man, I am down and out, and my buddy Andrew brought me up. My buddy John brought me up.
Totally.
Because like I'll tell you what, there's very few people in this world that I would consider like family.
Yeah.
There's probably fewer people that I would consider hunting partners.
Yeah, totally.
And that's just because it's like it's a unique and special thing. And same goes for fishing.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Totally. Well, with that, should we bring on our next guest?
Let's do it.
Natalie?
Yeah. Awesome.
No.
Good to talk to you, gal.
Thanks, man.
See you soon.
And we're going to watch some films with Andrew and them pretty soon. Getting his first quail.
And you messed up, so she's second, Chad's first.
Oh, never mind. I lied. Chad is next.
Yeah, we will.
That's the best part about doing it live. You just mess up left and right.
You ready? Ready. Have a seat, man.
Welcome.
So as we were like that intro got a little bit derailed, and we actually meant to say like welcome. We are at Sheep's Head headquarters.
Yes.
John and I have been here all day setting up. There's a party happening if you can hear it. I don't know, what is there, 25 people here or something like that?
Something
I think
like
there's
that.
more. I counted.
30?
Like
30-ish?
No. We're pushing 40.
Okay,
awesome.
I'll take it. I think there's more to come too. So different from first episode. We have Chad Thomas. Chad is the vice chair of California Backcountry Hunters and Anglers.
Welcome.
We're gonna let Chad talk about that a little bit, but he's a new friend to me. But I can tell you what, like just from having one beer with him, like we are like-minded people, and I'm really excited to hear. Oh, hey, how are you?
Got more people rolling in.
To hear a little bit about what he has to say and what he's got going on.
Yeah.
So Chad, tell us. I wrote this big intro, but I would rather hear it from the man himself. He told me he was raised by wolves earlier. I'd like to know.
I got that look.
Okay.
Is that true?
Yeah. Anybody who looks at me can tell that's very true. No. I'm a city boy. As hard as it is to believe,
Really?
I downplay it. But I was born and raised in L.A. I grew up in this city, but my family did everything we could do to get out of there and go, off-road, hunt, fish, backpack, hike, do it all in the area outside of L.A. And, I went through college, and I thought I had a career path set for me, but then I eventually kind of had a realization that ultimately what I really want to do is spend more time in the outdoors.
Yeah.
And, hell, if I can get paid for it, why not?
Totally.
So I decided to become a wildlife biologist.
Yeah.
And so I went and got my master's in environmental policy management. I became a wildlife biologist. I worked some awesome jobs, traveled some cool places.
Where was the best place you traveled to?
Yeah.
Okay. So San Clemente Island is probably the coolest job I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I think it was cool in the respect that it's a naval installation, so it's totally uninhabited. So at times I would be 40 miles from the nearest human being. Maybe not that much. Maybe only 20 or less.
Well, what is it? It's 25 miles from the coast, right? Thereabouts?
Thereabouts, but it's 23 miles long. It's only a few miles wide.
Right.
But I had the coolest job in the world, and I was a predator biologist.
No way. On the island.
Cool.
And
That's
fun. So people are like, predator biologist, did you work with wolves or mountain lions or whatever else? And it's like, no, I worked with feral house cats. And so long story short, like when the ranchers left the island, they abandoned all their barn cats.
Yeah.
And so they kind of became feral, created their own population, had deleterious effects on some of the native wildlife. And I got paid to go around and I don't use the word hunt, but as much as we understand hunting, it was hunting cats. It was nocturnal spotlighting, shooting.
Wow.
And chasing them down. Got to see some really awesome places.
And what were the cats killing that you were concerned about?
Primarily sensitive avian wildlife. So they were catching birds on the nest.
Right.
That was the major concern. There's some endangered species out that way.
Right.
So they just want to cull that back, and then there's some possible direct competition with the island foxes as well.
Okay.
So it was fun, man. I'd start working, you get stabbed in the back there, buddy.
Hey, go over there.
So I would start work at sundown and drive around at night and spotlight and work till 4 or 5 in the morning and have a good old time, dude. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
You talk about like. I know that you know this and you're learning this. Getting away from people into those secluded places. Yeah. Like there is no better place. I've never been further away from another human being than I was out there.
Right.
So that was a fun job.
That's cool. I did a little bit of work for the Nature Conservancy back in the day on Santa Cruz Island.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we were doing like fennel studies with insect populations and then bunch grass studies after they do control burns. So I can kind of relate. I think that's way cooler than what I was doing. Actually, but
it was a fun job. It was hard to walk away from.
I was
a kid.
I was an intern. I was not a wildlife biologist by any means. So you were doing that for a little while, and then take us next place.
So I got another job with my same organization, conducting outreach and education, working with different hunting organizations, conservation groups, just to understand possible toxicological effects on some wildlife. I won't get into the nitty-gritty on that. I also did some trapping for the cities. And then ultimately I got my job with my current employer now, which is California Waterfowl Association.
Very cool.
Right.
Which is just, it's a dream job. It's super awesome.
Good, man.
I meet the coolest human beings. I get to fundraise for conservation. I get to see a tangible impact on wild places and wildlife every day.
Yeah.
So I got the greatest job in the world.
Yeah. And your involvement with BHA, like when did that come into play? Because like I gotta be honest, like you're getting paid already to be involved as a volunteer for BHA.
Why would you do it for free?
Right, yeah. Then you're gonna add on to that and do it for free.
Yeah. So my involvement with the chapter was it'd be 21 or 22. And I went to the North American Rendezvous in Missoula, and my chapter, the California chapter, who I had not met yet.
How did we not meet there?
It just hadn't, we hadn't crossed paths, but they were doing a big trivia at Rendezvous, a conservation trivia, and they were bombing, dude. They were doing terrible, and they're gonna laugh when they see this. And I went over and I set a couple beers down. I'm like, boys, I'm joining the board today, and I'm gonna help you win this.
Nice.
And they were too far behind. They didn't win, but after that, I've been just a diehard supporter of the organization. I've been heavily involved with the board itself, helping to build the chapter up, build our membership up, help new hunters out. We do a lot of hunt camps. We do a lot of great things, and I haven't looked back since. So it's an amazing organization.
And we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but like for me, I'm just learning about BHA. Yeah. So for people like me, people that are just getting into this, what is BHA? What do you do?
So a lot of hunting conservation organizations, NGOs, fixate primarily either on methods or species. So you have your Pheasant Forever, you have your California Waterfowl, you have Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, your NWTS, all of those. BHA kind of crosses all those boundaries because what they focus on is public lands, ensuring sustainable and access to wildlife, to wildlands, to wild waters.
Okay.
So BHA does an amazing job because they ensure that your public lands, that you guys will have access to them, that they're in good shape, and that we can enjoy them and pass them on to our kids. Because each of us are landowners. Yeah. We own 360 million acres in the U.S. We own 45 million acres in California. So we want to ensure that that is a sustainable process and that we advocate for those lands.
Cool. And I love that because that is such a new concept for people like me.
Yeah.
They have no idea. They don't even know that they don't even have an inkling of that. You know what I mean?
What
like,
would
it's
you,
not
would
even
you
like,
like,
oh, that many. It's like, oh, we actually own land.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What would you think?
Thought.
Would you be like, oh, I have to pay to go hunt something? I have to like pay an outfitter to take me onto their ranch or something?
Right.
Is that like common
Yes,
knowledge?
I think that's common knowledge, and I think that was one thing you and I were talking about, kind of leading into this interview too. Is like, I think a lot of people that are just getting into it were like, oh, that's kind of the only way in California. Like you can't like actually go like
the
hunt
European
public
model.
land.
The
like,
landowner owns the wildlife.
So you can just go somewhere and hunt. You don't have to like pay someone to do it on that land. That's even like crazier. And I just experienced that for my first time. And we're going to watch that film about us going to hunt quail. And that was so amazing.
Right.
Even though it wasn't like, in the backwoods, like I could still see the city from where I was.
Right.
But in a way that was also really cool, knowing that it was like that close to me. I didn't have to go drive like 10 hours or drive up to another state. It was right here in California. So how is that playing into what you're doing?
Our board, our chairman actually wrote a really good article that got published in Outdoor Life. And when I met him, I was like, hey, didn't you write that article?
Cool.
And he wrote an article about being within 60 minutes of the Los Angeles skyscrapers and packing a deer out.
Wow.
He's like, this is your backyard. These are your lands. Go out and enjoy them or advocate for them or do whatever you're going to do. But that's what BHA is here for, to make sure that those are there for you.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we fixate on.
Right. What do you think especially in California, I think as we continue to do Curious Hunter, make these films, do these podcasts, I am very conscious of the fact that like California has a reputation in hunting for maybe, and this kind of came from you, Tim, telling me about this, how people see California as a place where, hey, what are you guys doing with hunting? You're kind of making it like really bad for the rest of us, because we are, what I'm finding is very aggressive on putting laws into place that make it hard to have access to go hunting, certain taxes and so on. So what are some things that you're doing maybe in general across the country to provide more access, but also specifically here in California?
You're referring to BHA in general?
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, BHA is kind of foundation. And when I worked in Oregon, I worked with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And there was kind of this big issue going around because there was a big plot of state forest that was going to be sold off. And a lot of people kind of said, wait a minute, I grew up on there. I went out there and shot my first elk or my first deer or whatever else. So then they created BHA around a campfire, and they began advocating for not selling off public land, not giving it away, not trading it, doing whatever else. So BHA focuses on ensuring equitable access and making sure that you have the opportunity to get out. So in California, for example, we're dealing with issues up on the Truckee River where there's questions about navigable waters, and we've had guides reach out to us and say, look, my access to these lands and these waterways are being called into question. So then we'll come in and start
which is their livelihood.
Yeah, especially for a guide. But even like Joe Schmo, like you and me, who wants to go out and fly fish, like that's our right. Yeah. And in California, you have a constitutional right to fish.
100%.
So we advocate on there. In California, we're also, a big one was Castle Mountains National Monument. So a lot of people don't know where this is, never heard of it. But when they designated that a national monument many years ago, we were reassured that hunting access would remain in there. And in the 11th hour, somebody's higher up on the food chain goes, nah, and struck it. And we lost that access, and these are tens of thousands of acres.
Yeah.
So we've been advocating year over year, and I'm really happy to say that we actually have a bill in the legislature right now to get that back.
Wow.
To open up those lands for you, me, and him to go out at any time.
That's awesome. So cool. Yeah, that's amazing.
Is there anything currently like that we are battling here in California that you want to speak to a little bit? Yeah.
It's a long list.
Yeah,
the podcast can't last that long.
Yeah.
So me,
what's at the top?
We're gonna need another beer.
Yeah, exactly. So I do angle, but through in and through out, I'm a hunter. I was born a hunter. I was raised a hunter, and I'll die a hunter. I think probably the biggest issue in California facing us right now is the question of black bear hunting.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that
back
up.
in 21, a legislator tried to pass a bill that would ban black bear hunting, and then they tried in the Fish and Game Commission in 22. And both times, I'm so happy to say that we successfully beat those efforts. Yeah. But that is ever looming. The Department of Fish and Wildlife just came out with their black bear management plan.
Yep.
And lo and behold, bear population.
Do we have a few bears in California?
We have. This should be the bear hunting mecca.
This
of
is
the West.
unbelievable.
Really?
How many do they think we have?
Tens and tens of thousands. So, like, the population model is somewhere in, like, the 30s.
I think it was 26. I guess 26.
Yeah, and in decline.
Yeah.
But when they updated the population modeling statistics, it actually showed that we're above 50,000 and possibly considerably more.
Into the 70s.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Possibly even pushing into 80.
Yeah.
Wow.
So advocating for that research, advocating for science-based wildlife management is something that's probably the biggest issue on our plate right now.
Yeah.
We're involved in the MPA decadal review. The rights to go out and fish in certain areas are being called into question, and there's not a lot of research that supports the otherwise.
Yeah.
So we're ensuring that somebody that has a seat at the table of those conversations is really what BHA membership dues pay for.
Yeah.
It's really interesting talking about bears and just this whole subject of like trying to get involved with things like this to provide access and just better research. For me, from my perspective, I see it going so much further. I think that's, again, why I want to do this podcast. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tim?
It's a
I know. I'm hard of hearing. Too many gunshots.
We're talking to like
I have
hunters.
a very
long time
quiet
hunters.
voice, so we're not a good mix.
Just yell at me. It's
No.
okay.
So basically, like what I was getting at is I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was like, "Oh, you're into hunting. You're getting into this. Okay, so that's really interesting." And he was like, "Is there anything you wouldn't hunt?" And I was like, "Well, I don't think there's anything I wouldn't hunt. I think the thing that I'm maybe like nervous about hunting is bear. So I'm nervous about it." And he's like, "Well, I mean, you shouldn't be hunting bear anyways, right? Because they're endangered." And I don't mean that to like discount his perspective, but I think a lot of people it's not even the research. They just have a different idea. They literally see it an animal, not even a species. Like,
so he saw a bear and he saw it endangered like grizzly bear or something.
Well, bear,
which is
just
not
bears
either,
in general.
but.
Like, if you're a bear,
it's that false
you're
narrative
endangered.
that so many urbanites are,
it's crazy.
A product of.
That
predators are not doing well globally, and therefore they're not doing well in the U.S.
Exactly.
If we don't see them, that's good.
What was that?
If we don't see those predators, that's a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
There's too many.
Well, we have more bears than we had in the last 100 years in California.
Mountain lions too.
We've done an amazing job recovering our bear populations to what they were at the turn of the 20th century.
Absolutely.
So that is a conservation story that should be celebrated.
Yeah.
Should be applauded.
100%.
And the opportunity to pursue them as a game species should be continued.
Yeah. Totally.
Chad, wrapping it up, I guess, like, people want to learn more about BHA. Besides coming here and hanging out at Sheep's Head and talking to us, what can they do? Where can they go?
So BHA at the state level is a volunteer organization. 90% of what we do is driven by just volunteers that are passionate about public lands and wildlife. And ultimately, they can just reach out to us via our website or our email and say, look, I want to host a pint night in my backyard, or I want to do a duck hunting camp out here, or I want to do this and that. And ultimately, the board will come in and we'll give you all the resources, the knowledge, and support you in any way that we can.
Yeah.
Because being able to do these things, bring in the next generation of hunters or advocate for wildlife is really important to us. So we will do everything that we can to make you successful.
Cool.
And what is it if I want to join BHA? What am I paying you?
$35, the same as everybody else.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey,
no, full disclosure, I'm a life member, guys, but
there you go.
I had to get
we'll take your donation.
Yeah. But I'm a life member. That means something. So everybody, if you all need to look.
I mean, I need to get on that.
Yeah. Yes. I'll give you 20%.
To my duck camp. It's your membership's included.
Yeah, and
I'll give you 20%
we'll be
off
making
your
some films soon.
Too.
Yeah.
You get 20% off your in-store purchase today if you join Backcountry Hunters.
There you go.
So,
maybe today's the day.
Chad, thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
I think this is
really
the first. This is the first of many.
Awesome.
But
thank you for everything you guys do.
Also,
absolutely.
Chad is cooking up food for everybody at this party. So if you are listening and not watching, he did. It's El Carnitas over there.
Then we got some sausage. Miss Natalie, who's going to come up talk in a second.
Yep.
She brought us some cool exotic game as well, so nobody's going to go home hungry. That's for sure.
Yeah,
well, thank you, Chad.
We are establishing some major FOMO right now. So if you're hearing this, we'll be doing this again.
Yeah.
And make sure you're here.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
If you want to buy something, just bring it up whenever. So
just interrupt my podcast. It's fine. I'll understand.
I'll take a picture and I'll text you later on that I took it.
Okay, perfect. And just
all right.
It's like my mom just taking things out of the store without paying.
Oh, that's nice.
Now Kevin does that too.
Nice. I'll get you later. I'll Venmo you.
No, with all due respect, we wouldn't have lights in here if it wasn't for Kevin. So
yes. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So he's a frequent buyer then.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, and one of my oldest friends. But here we are.
We're back with
we have
another
a new guest.
Yes. We have Natalie, and she is with SCI and She Hunts. Did I say that right or wrong?
I am with She Hunts.
Yeah.
Well,
I am a member.
You're
of
a member of
member.
SCI.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm a new hunter. I'm a newbie. I'm still learning. I'm going to get things right and wrong.
That's okay.
You're an SCI member.
Yes.
And
SCI will gladly take the representation, though.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, tell me more. I know we met not too long ago through Tim at the turkey banquet.
Yes.
And we had such a fun time, and we were like, man, we got to get you on. I think especially with the stuff that you're doing with She Hunts, but also because you're a new hunter.
I am.
But before we really dive into that, I'm curious, what is SCI?
Okay.
Obviously, I don't know anything about it because I didn't
just
even
throw
call
me
you
the
a
big
member.
ones right away.
Even just in a nutshell, like what is that? How are you involved?
Safari Club International is a great organization that does a lot for conservation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge conservation nonprofit that is worldwide at this point. I don't want to speak too much from what I know. I work the SCI convention every year with She Hunts.
Okay.
So I've been attending as a guest, and then I have also been on the side of working an actual booth at the convention.
Gotcha. Okay.
And what I've kind of seen over the past, it's been 7 years now that I went as my husband now took me as like a weekend getaway. We're going to go to Safari Club.
Nice.
He's a smart man.
Yeah, just throw me right in. And to be honest, when it was up in Reno, and I was so overwhelmed. There's so much. I don't know if either of you have ever been to one of the SCI conventions, but it's a lot when you walk in. It's a big convention floor, and I was blown away. But I did notice it was a lot of men.
Right.
And a few wives here and there, but it was a lot of men. And now fast forward to 7 years later, and I've actually worked the convention that's actually held in Nashville the past 2 years.
Cool.
And I am seeing it grow substantially with women and children, and some of the programs that SCI is doing.
Even in the 7 years that you've been a member.
The 7 years. It is night and day difference at this point. And it's really encouraging as a new female hunter to be in an organization that it really supports women.
Yeah.
I've actually made my little. I've made they've done a women who hunt, I believe is the tagline for it. But I was showcased on them or on their Instagram page a couple times with a few of the hunts I've been on. So that was really special for me. Yeah. I thought it was a big deal.
And is that how you discovered or found She Hunts? Like, tell us about. Well, I guess hold on. Let's back up a little bit. Like Natalie, we are in Paso Robles, California. Yeah. Natalie is born and raised in this area.
I am.
Okay, and you grew up not hunting,
no,
fishing?
Not hunting. No one in my family. Out in the country, like we rode horses. I was part of 4-H. I mean, so I had.
What'd you raise in 4-H? What'd you do?
I had a lamb.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was pigs.
I did it I could only make it 1 year because I may have spent the night with my lamb the last night before I went to auction.
You didn't.
So I was a softie.
Yeah.
But I mean, I grew up out in the country. I grew up around guns. But no one in my family hunted. No one I really knew hunted.
Yeah.
So fast forward to.
And you met your husband. And you met your husband, and you got he is an avid outdoorsman.
Yes.
And then so tell us, like, you now work for She Hunts. That's one of your jobs on top of being a mom. How did that come to be? Like, take us through that.
Okay,
She Hunts is pretty cool.
It actually, started at Safari Club.
Okay, so that's a connection.
It is the connection.
Yeah.
It started there up in Reno. And this is kind of a funny story, and I really tell this story a lot to women because I think it resonates with them. He took me to the She Hunts booth at Safari Club, and I was adamant, like, I do not want to do this. Like, he's like, no, we're going to sign you up. You're going to go to She Hunts. I met Brittany Boddington. I was like, I don't know who this woman is. Like, it was these beautiful women in a booth, and I'm like, I don't want to go.
Also, Alan is the nicest guy ever. She's making him sound like
sorry.
The Jolly Green
There's
Giant.
a lot of us that don't quite know who this is. You filled me in a little bit last time, but maybe unpack that a little bit for us.
Okay, so Brittany is the founder, creator of She Hunts, and she is an amazing outdoors woman. She is one of the founders for Women in Hunting. She's been on multiple TV shows. She's a writer.
Cool.
She's just phenomenal, and she's created She Hunts for women to gain. I'm like confident. I guess that's the best word. Gain confidence out in the field.
Okay.
So the program really focuses on learning the skills to be independent. We like one of my favorite quotes of hers is that men's chivalry handicaps women.
Interesting.
And it does, because so many times, and I am a victim of this, my husband said, here's a gun.
We'll do it for you.
Yeah, here's a gun. It's loaded.
Right.
Aim and shoot.
Right.
That may make me a shooter. That doesn't make me a hunter.
Totally.
And follow through with that to field dressing. I mean, I don't know many women that know how to field dress an animal.
Yeah.
And I may be really dressed up right now, but I can tell you, I know how to field dress.
If you're listening and not watching, she's in a bright yellow dress. She looks stunning. But you were at a graduation earlier.
I was at a graduation, so I'm a little dressed up for this event. But I can do that because of She Hunts, because of the skills I gained.
Right.
But I am going to back up a little bit because this is such an important part of the story. Is Alan, and my husband is amazing. He wanted me. He knew that I had this desire, and he wanted me to gain my own skills. And he knew that he shouldn't be the teacher, because a lot of times we learn from the men in our lives, and it's not the best. I mean, I don't know if you've ever taught a woman in your life how to drive a stick shift. I wouldn't recommend it, and I wouldn't recommend teaching her how to hunt. Let's let other women do it. So he takes me to this booth, and I'm like adamant, I don't want to go. My feet are in the sand, and he's encouraging, and I go to camp. And even Brittany laughs about it to this day. She's like, did you even want to be there? And I was like, no, not really. Women aren't nice. I don't want to go be with 12 women that I don't know.
Right.
And
that was what you thought.
That is what I thought.
Yeah.
Women are not nice. They are not. This is not going to be something that people are going to be welcoming.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And because you have a terminology for this that I think is really funny. What did you call me? I'm a what?
A late onset hunter.
A late onset hunter. It makes me feel
I've heard latent hunter.
Yeah.
I think I said that on the last.
She brought that one up too. Yeah.
It just makes me feel really old, to be honest with you.
Hey, I'm right there too. 42 years old, just getting into this.
We're the same age. So, but it made me feel like I'm going to go to this camp and I'm going to be around women that already have done this. And I felt inexperienced. And with that, like, came a lot of hesitation and I didn't want to do it.
Totally.
And I cannot tell you enough, and I tell every woman this, like, it is so different when you're at camp. Like, it is life-changing for women.
Yeah.
I mean, meeting like-minded women who have the same values and all of the things, it was phenomenal. Like, hands down, it was the best experience of my life. I learned how to mount my own scope. So cool. Oh yeah, bring in that sausage.
Which one is this?
If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see this. But if you can't,
which one is it? Oh,
we're eating some sausage that Chad just cooked up.
Do you know
tell
which
us
one
about
it
the
is?
sausage.
I don't know which one it is because
I think is it the Axis?
Chad.
No, it wouldn't be Axis.
She doesn't actually know which one you cooked.
Oh yeah. Okay, so he's telling you, if you can't hear off camera, it's the Gemsbuck. And yes, this is one of the animals from Record Buck Ranch where she hunts is held. That is actually not mine. That's my husband's. He's gotten a Gemsbuck. I have not.
Don't say that.
Yet.
Don't say that.
Yet. The key word is yet.
Yeah. So you went down there. You learn these skills. It is not and with all due respect to the older generation, a bunch of 80-plus-year-old women that have already done this and killed all these animals. These are women just like you. Most of them?
No.
They're not like you at all.
No. The skill set is, from
novice
someone
to experience.
Yeah, someone who has never shot a rifle.
Okay.
I had at least done that. I had a little bit. But we have campers that have never shot a rifle.
Awesome.
To women that have literally been on safaris all over the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of this skills camp, is just teaching women that there's always more you can learn, and it's so much easier learning from other women.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's awesome. It was hands down the best experience, and now I'm so blessed. Like, I work for the company, and now I get to go to so many of the camps, and I've met so many amazing women.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough about that experience. That for my introduction into hunting, my first big game hunt was held at She Hunts. I took a scimitar oryx, which the story of the scimitar oryx, I'm sure you're a little bit familiar with that, Tim, being from living in Texas, but that animal was extinct in Africa, now the population that's grown through
There's more
Texas,
of them in North America now than there is in Africa.
So it's pretty amazing. And
I think I don't know if it was the same animal you were talking about, but was that what had grown in Texas and then was actually repopulated
into
where
Africa.
It came from?
Yeah.
So was that was the one?
So it's and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's native to Africa, and it had gone extinct from poaching, correct?
Probably,
Yeah.
Most
And someone brought it into the States, and I'm forgetting, I should know who this is, but the population was built back up again in Texas.
Okay.
And they have slowly taken that population and reintroduced it in Africa, so now it's starting to thrive again in Africa.
That's so cool.
The meat is phenomenal. If you ever get the chance to try it, you too will have the chance to try it tonight, because I know we brought some sausage.
Good.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
What there's some other stuff you brought over there. You hunted an axis deer in Hawaii, is that right?
I did. That was actually that was our honeymoon.
Oh God.
Nice.
What I'm going to tell you right now, find a woman, Tim, that wants to go on a honeymoon in Hawaii just to hunt an
axis deer. Yeah. Which is the best, to me, the best deer meat on the face of the earth.
By far.
Yeah,
it is the best venison I've ever had. We were blessed to harvest 3 axis off the island of Lanai with Pineapple Brother, and it was such a phenomenal experience.
It's awesome. Yeah.
It's really roughing it when you're there. You have to stay at one of the 2 Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, rough.
So being tagged out the first day before noon was not that rough to spend the rest of the time at the Four Seasons. So that was an incredible hunt, one of my favorite hunts, and it was our honeymoon, so it was really
That's
special.
Awesome. Yeah.
And building a little bit on like she hunts and like being down there with these women of what we would call like mind, but like all different levels of experience.
Yeah.
And now being like an intermediate hunter in the world and being a woman, and like how have you, we get a bad rap. The hunting and outdoor industry gets a bad rap, and that women aren't welcome. There's not enough of them. I know you spoke to earlier about SCI's youth and women population growing, but like in general, you like going out into the world and like, mounting your own scope and field dressing your own animals. Like, how have you been received? And like, tell me a little bit about how the community of hunting has taken to that, or has shown you maybe a different side you didn't know existed.
So it's really interesting. I think you're always going to have some of that boys club. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't want any woman to like come into hunting and be like, oh, you're going to be welcomed with open arms, because I think there's those old timers that are still going to, they're going to be a little hesitant to a female in camp.
Not my deer camp.
Not at my deer camp. But at the same time, like, I've also been to camp that I have a stepdaughter who's 12 years old, and my husband introduced her when she was really little, and the men are so welcoming and so supportive. But for myself, I'm noticing that more and more. Like I've been to multiple. I mean, I did a spring black bear hunt up in Alberta last year, and I was treated no differently.
Cool.
And I think it's because I'm willing to get in there and get my hands dirty. I mean, once again, you can see me dressed up and dolled up tonight, and that's one thing that I think is important for women to know. Like, you're not giving up one side to be a hunter. Like, I can still get dolled up and have a great time. I love to drink champagne. I love to go to expensive restaurants. Do not get me wrong. But you better believe I can get my hands dirty, and I can...
That's awesome.
I can go hunting, and I can provide food for my family in an ethical way that I can't do that when I go to the grocery store, I feel like, these days. So that's something really special to me. I always hunt. I like to refer as myself as a meat hunter. So I always want to go for what tastes the best. Axis is one of my favorite for that reason. But yeah, that's kind of, I'm feeling the welcome, but I think it's just like anything.
Yeah.
I think that's
so
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, how, and I'm kind of asking for my wife, but how would someone just begin to get involved with she hunts? What's that first step look like?
I mean, just go on the website.
All right. Well,
book the camp. That's all you got to do.
I guess that's it. I mean,
call Natalie. Her number
simple?
is.
It's like you got a website.
It's literally that simple.
But what is it again? Shehunts.com?
Shehunts.com.
Okay.
Yep. It's
cool.
that simple.
Yeah.
And we hold camps in the spring. We do. Last year we started what's called a 2.0 camp. Brittany created because we had so many women that were coming back for the same camp and paying for the same camp over and over.
Cool.
Because they love the experience so much. So we created a 2.0 camp, and that's held in the fall. And so you can't go to that unless you've done the 1.0.
Cool.
So it kind of gives women something to work towards. But it's that easy. But I recommend, the most is finding, and that's what's been a little bit of a struggle for me here on the Central Coast, is finding like-minded women that are in this, not in the industry, but that are interested. Yeah. That are curious.
Yes. Right. There you go.
Well, stay tuned. Maybe we might have a few things at Sheep's Head Outfitters for like-minded women. So
like a ladies' night. Are you gonna pull? Are you gonna do a ladies' night?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I would be there.
Under wraps.
Top secret.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and telling your story. I think if there's any women that hear this and maybe they are a little hesitant, the hope is that like maybe you push them over the edge and get involved, because I love hunting with women. And I'll hunt with anybody, but I think that it's super, super important for people that are curious about this stuff to feel comfortable joining up. And if they want to come by Sheep's Head or If they live in another state, let me know. I can point you in the right direction.
Honestly, follow me on Instagram too. Like I will answer any question. Like reach out. I am all about supporting the community. That's actually how Tim and I became friends, because I came in his store and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So cool. Honestly, I would love to support any woman that wants to be a part of this.
Awesome.
We will be best friends.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We have a surprise fourth guest.
Fourth guest.
We had
we had planning on it.
Jeremy was a surprise guest.
Yeah, and get
Andrew
kind of up on
Andrew was a surprise guest. Then we had our 2 regular guests. You're the 5th guest we've had tonight.
Oh
yeah, Jeremy kind of was a guest.
Yeah,
that's right.
He talked about vegan pizza.
Yeah. Well, before we talk about
real?
What?
Do we think that it's real, or he was just making fun of the fact that we're doing a hunting podcast?
I think it was real.
You do? You think he had a cauliflower pizza tonight?
I think he did.
I don't know that man to tell a lie, so.
Not my favorite.
Garrett's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. You weren't here yet. You were late.
We keep saying Garrett a lot. Why don't we introduce Garrett? So Garrett, and you might have heard because we were just talking off mic about it, but many years ago, I was working at MindBody with Andrew, who was at the beginning of this, and Garrett. And we were in the creative department. Garrett was a producer. I was an art director. We built a video studio together. And tell me, why don't you tell me how we reconnected and we started getting into this hunting stuff together as well.
Oh, hey there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garrett, I've been working with Jon for a number of years on various...
me, because I feel like it's weird.
That's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hi.
Hi. Well, talking about our start and where we're going, Jon introduced me into a new way of thinking about creativity.
Okay.
I think having a really similar past of growing up as kids, sort of having this things we like doing, skating, ska bands, outdoor stuff.
Ska?
Yeah.
Did you play horns?
I did. I was a trumpet player.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
I've never met a horn player in a ska band.
I played,
oh, my gosh.
I played the tuba. I played all the brass.
Reed
instruments.
The tuba, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
French horn, brass instrument.
I have some stories after this.
Yeah. But I faked the whole thing. It was a very creative effort on my end. I actually didn't know how to read music. I just memorized all the songs.
Yeah.
But in general, of this intersection of, I was coming in from being a pretty terrible creative.
Yeah.
But I was good at working with creatives to help them be better than they could have been by themselves.
That's why you and I get along, I think.
So, for instance, when I started doing design, I tried to be a designer. I was freelancing, and someone said, hey, I want something that's kind of edgy.
Right.
So I designed something with a lot of edges. Yeah, I missed that mark.
This just turned into a design podcast.
But
that will be in the Hall of Fame.
I hear you're a pretty edgy designer.
but that's really saying that
it's the first of many
I don't
dad
always
jokes,
do
everybody?
the thing, but I've been tangentially related to the thing. So
it
was me saying I'm not a designer, but I'm a producer.
Yeah.
And that kind of comes to this is I grew up around hunting.
Yeah.
My uncles and cousins,
tangentially, sort of.
Yeah, they were buck hunters, getting hypothermia all the time. So I was around it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to participate.
Okay.
So once again, being adjacent to the hunt and understanding from a different lens, but from not just what I saw, which was mainly trophy hunting.
Yeah.
And never discussion about the harvest.
Yeah.
So getting in it with you, Jon, I wanted to learn more about, hey, how is this something that's not just for the kill, but for the creative nature of getting outside and getting out of the elements. And so for me, saying I may not be, in fact, that's probably why the Curious Hunter brand resonates with me a lot, because I am curious and I don't see myself as a hunter. But dude, I love shooting a bow. I love being on the water fishing. I love backpacking out in the mountains. And so that tangentially is only one click away from the hunt. And so when you look at that, that's what intrigues me about the Curious Hunter.
Yeah, that's really interesting too, because I think, when it comes to hunting and it comes to us talking about it and encouraging people to maybe get into it or just learn more about it, not everybody needs to go hunting.
Yeah.
There might be some people that are just really interested in learning more about it, watching, listening, but they don't ever need to do it. I think what's most important is that people understand how positive it is for yourself, for your community, for the land, for conservation. And so I think it's cool to I think at some point you might get into it, especially we get a bow in your hands.
Garrett,
but
as somebody that's like interested, curious, like what would you say is like the one thing that like maybe if you and me partnered up, and like what would be the one thing that maybe you could take from me, get from me, that would help you maybe be more comfortable or be like just more excited about like stepping foot in the outdoors, say by yourself, right?
Yeah. I learn a lot from doing things, of seeing and shadowing.
Yeah.
I like seeing it done. You can explain it to me all you want. I love listening to podcasts
Visual
and
learner,
YouTube,
so to speak. Yeah.
But like there's something about being there.
Yeah.
So almost like doing it like a hunt shadow.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I'm not there to participate, but I'm just here to watch and learn and ask some stupid questions.
Yeah.
So I can feel a bit more confident and then say, okay, for me, what's the one thing that I'm most excited about? Let's happen it. And what's the one thing I'm the most scared about?
Yeah.
And how do we resolve that?
Cool.
And so I would be sort of picking your brain to help answer those two questions for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's
awesome.
a great answer, and I think it's cool because, like, one, like a lot of people are like welcoming to like, if I'm going elk hunting, I want another body anyways because I can't lift that whole thing by myself.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other part of that is like, I think there's different organizations. We talked to Chad from BHA tonight. They have tons and tons of like mentored hunts, and next surprise guest.
We're getting harassed right now by
Garrett.
Jeremy. He's
Have
walking
you not
back
met Garrett
over.
Yet?
No.
Oh, Garrett. Jeremy.
Yeah,
Are you going home?
Oh, thank you.
he is, right? Yeah. So are you. So are you.
I'm fine.
Did you really eat cauliflower pizza, or was that a zing on the hunting podcast?
So if you can't hear him right now, we're talking to Jeremy Wells again. He's not on mic, but we're asking him if he really ate cauliflower pizza. And he said yes, and it was the best. So, yeah. You're leaving?
So to pick up what you were saying, though, you said having an extra body there.
Having the extra body there is great. So like, there's an invite there,
Yeah.
Like for me myself, like, I don't necessarily want 7 people when I'm going out and like shooting a pig or something, but like, for like a more like, hey guys, like I'm going elk hunting. Here's the dates I'm going. Here's the place I'm going, and like. I know by inviting you, you probably don't have a tag to go with me.
Yep.
But like, if it's something you're interested in, I would encourage you to take those opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also with BHA or many other organizations, they do a lot of like sort of introductory like mentored hunts, things like that, where like not only are you sitting side by side with someone who's doing it, you're doing it yourself. So it's like, hey, watch me do it. Now you do it.
That would really intrigue me if I could go and do everything but the physical hunt itself. It's like, as a producer, I'm used to the one equipping John or the other creative to say, hey, get there, let's get it all ready to go. Yeah. And then you're the one pointing the camera, or you're the one pointing the rifle.
Totally.
Plus, I would love to learn about, butchering the animal and breaking it down into parts so that we can eat.
Yeah.
And that whole process, like almost more so than the actual physical hunt.
Yeah.
Because I know that will come later.
Yeah.
As a product.
Yeah.
So like that would be exciting.
Yeah. That's
to
awesome.
jump into.
That's very cool.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm so glad that we snagged you because, again, Garrett's going to be out there with us a lot. He's among many other things, a really great producer. And so it's fun for me to get to do this again with you.
Yeah.
It's like old times. And now we're doing it for ourselves in the outdoors. And, I'm excited to see where we go from here.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
excited to do with you. And if John's ever on camera, there's a high chance it might be me behind it.
That's very true.
That's my preferred spot than in front of the camera, but I'll do it from time to time.
And if you're listening to this, go watch the surf fish film because Garrett was in that. He filmed a bunch of it and helped make it happen.
They're going to show some films now.
We sure are.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the people that are listening to this aren't here right now.
How are you?
Yeah.
And they're probably getting a lot of FOMO. So
Right.
next time, come
Theater
on out.
of the mind.
I haven't seen in like years and years and years. That's so cool. I apologize.
All right. Well, I think that concludes our.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Dude, and thank you for all your help today.
Happy to.
Super awesome.
Let's go watch some films.